Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm sorry I've been busy lately, but I'm back now, and today we are going to review the student grade gouache brand called Arteza. This video is not sponsored. I'm gonna try my best to give an objective review of this set. So this set has 60 colors total. You can find all the colors information on the top of the box. And inside you will find these packages of colors in 12 milliliter tubes. The packaging is pretty organized for this many colors. On each of the paint tube, the color light fatness is indicated by the pluses and its opacity is indicated by the squares. Now I'm going to test out each of this color on this paper. The reason why I chose the black paper is so that I can see the color opacity a little bit better. And I do notice that some of the color, especially the warmer yellowish tone, even though the tube indicate that it is opaque, however when I put it down on the paper, it's almost like semi-transparent and some of them even transparent. It took me a couple layers for me to get it to the opacity that I wanted. The darker tone seems to be doing a little bit better on the opacity. However, the colors when I painted on this paper definitely is different from the color that they painted on the tube itself. Other than that, color quality wise is pretty decent. It is definitely not as good as other artist grade brand like Winsor & Newton or Opaque, but it's totally passable for a beginner set. As you can see from this test, there are some color that is very opaque, especially the pastel tone. They also have some cool metallic colors that you don't usually find in a normal washes, like bronze, gold, and silver. However, what I learned from this test is not to trust the information on the tube. A lot of the color came out very transparent, like these yellows over here, even though their tubes indicate that they should be opaque, or at least semi-opaque. Okay, now let's try it on a full painting. The colors mix relatively nicely with the paper, and for my first layer, even though I use a pretty bright color, they do cover the white of the paper underneath them. I think one of the strongest point and also the weakest point of this set is the number of colors that it has. With this set, you will get to try out a lot of different colors that would be very hard to find in other gouache sets. On the other hand, these color tubes only sold within this set, so if you use certain colors more and then you ran out of them, you have to buy a whole nother set in order to replace them. They don't sell these paints separately. Also, another thing that I don't like about having this many colors, especially for beginners, is that in my opinion, learning how to mix colors is a very important skill. And having this many colors just readily available like this, I think would make it a lot harder for beginners to learn how to mix the color themselves. So I think if you're just starting out, it's better to stick with a primary color set so that you would learn how to mix the other ones. So at this stage in the painting, I haven't had any trouble with layering using this set yet, but this is because I put out a very light color as my background, and so far I only been putting darker colors like the trees and the dark leaf on top of them. So they've been sitting nicely opaque on top of that background. However, this is not the case when I try to add in the highlight, and I will point that out when we get to that part. I think this set would suit best for the people that kind of already familiar with gouache and just want a relatively affordable variety of colors to try them out. So you can use them for thumbnail painting, or to test out an idea, because I think this is pretty good quality for student grade, but you will notice a difference between this color quality and other artist graded gouache brand. Here when I tried to mix the very light green for the highlight on the leaf, I'm actually noticing it's being relatively transparent, especially because the white is not as opaque as it should be. It took me a couple layers just going over those highlights in order to get them to be opaque enough and stand out of the dark shadow. A quick way I use to fix this problem is that I use my permanent white Winsor & Newton wash to mix in with the green instead of using the white wash from the set. And because the Winsor & Newton wash is very opaque, it makes that green sitting nicely on top of the previous layer. If you don't have that available, you can also fix this by using multiple layers for that same color. Here I want to show you a different way when you have a wash set that is not as opaque as you would like them to be and is hard for you to layer. Instead of starting out with a dark background and adding highlights on top layer, what I usually do for watercolor is just to leave the white paper for highlights. Because in watercolor, you won't be able to get any lighter than the white of the paper itself. So that's why you would see masking fluid used a lot in watercolor to preserve the highlight area. And here, instead of doing what I normally do, which is just adding the background color and then layering multiple layers on top of this, I'm just gonna use 1 or 2 layers and leave out the white of the paper as highlights. If you're used to this technique, I think this set would be pretty good for you, especially if you're doing illustration where you don't do a lot of layers. Most of it is just 1 or 2 layers. And as long as you layer the dark color on top of the light one, you will get it pretty opaque. Otherwise, just be patient adding more layers to get that light on top of the dark background, or just grab an artist graded white paint and use that for mixing to get the opacity that you want. As for beginners, I don't think I would recommend this set. First of all, because it will be very hard for you to replace the paint tube. As I said before, you probably wouldn't use all of that colors equally. Some of them will be used more often than the others. And also because learning to mix color is a very important skill in my opinion, and I think this set wouldn't help you much with that. Moreover, it seems like layering has been a problem for a lot of beginners already, and having this set making it harder for you to layer would be kind of discouraging and even frustrating. Like if you're trying to replicate a video of an artist painting wash using a lot of layering, even though you are doing the same thing you see they do in the videos, because the quality of this wash is different, you may not get the same effect. And I think that is a pretty frustrating thing, especially when you're first starting out. So I think that is my final verdict for this wash set. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please like and subscribe. It really helped me out a lot. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. And enjoy the rest of the painting in this video.